Thanks for coming. Obviously, I posted something on my social media today, so I'm sure you have lots of questions about it, and that's why I'm here.
All right, great. Let's open up by starting with Percy Allen. Percy, why don't you kick us off on the Zoom?
Awesome. Hey, Sue. Yeah, heck of a day here. Just in regards to what you did post on your social media accounts, how did you know? When did you know? And are things more comfortable for you and everyone around you now that it's kind of out there?
Yeah. So how and when? I had a inkling before the season started, and I was trying to be as upfront as possible about that, just knowing that this was most likely going to be my last year, but I wanted to be absolutely positive. And as the season started, maybe even in training camp, I started to think about it a little bit more, and I've really deep down known for a while now. So then it just became, all right, well, when do you want to say it? And I juggled around a couple ideas, but to be honest, it wasn't until I started preparing for this road trip, particularly our last game, which is in New York, and especially because that's going to be the last time I play in New York. We come back to Connecticut, so I got more time here. But knowing it was going to be my last game in New York is really what started the thought process around announcing that this would be my last year. So that's kind of the how and the when. That was the motivating factor on the timing. And I feel like for every athlete, sometimes it really just comes down to, when you know. There isn't necessarily a recipe for it. You just know when you know. And now that I know, and now again that this New York game is coming, I get to share it with my family, my friends, which I'm excited about. It was the right time for me. And I forget your third part.
Yeah, just the
Oh,
fact
like
that
a
now
when.
that it's out there. Yeah, is it just more maybe comfortable for you and just like everyone around you?
Probably. I think in some ways, being in a gray area can make it uncomfortable, whether it's media asking questions, maybe people I come across at a game, fans at a game, or maybe in the street, like, oh, so is it, isn't it? There's that awkward back and forth. So now that it's final, maybe we can all kind of treat it that way and just move on, not talk about it too much. Deal?
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Thank you,
Let's
Sue.
Thank
go
you.
to Doug Feinberg with another question from the Zoom, and then we'll move into the room here.
Hey, Sue, congrats on deciding. A two-parter. Did you tell anyone outside of your family before you put the announcement out there, any of your teammates or friends or former coaches? And is it special to you to have played your entire career in one city in Seattle, since that seems to be a rarer thing now in sports and in the WNBA?
Yeah, so the question was, did I tell people? Of course. I started to like loosely write this list of people I wanted to give a heads up to, people I wanted them to hear directly from me versus just seeing it on my social media or in the media. And it was interesting because that list just like over a couple days kept getting longer and longer, which I think is amazing because it just speaks to all of those that have touched me, touched my career, have played a role, not just my family, friends, coaches, former teammates. I waited to tell my teammates here in Seattle and the staff until I told the staff this morning. I told my teammates last night, just because I didn't want like the whole road trip to be like that in the back of anyone's head. So I waited to the best for last, I guess that you could say. But pretty much everybody, like I said, who's played a role in my life and my career, I wanted them to hear directly from me. So there was a lot of heads ups given. And I am very proud of playing my whole career here in Seattle. I think not that it has nothing to do with the fact that it's rare these days, or it has nothing to do with any of that. I just have enjoyed all of my time here. And I just feel so connected to the team, to the city, to the fan base, to all the people that have come through. And that's really what it's about. I think as you go through a career, you realize it's really about the people. So I'm just really lucky that I've played for a first class organization alongside some of the world's best, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Thanks, Sue.
No problem. Um, yeah, of course I've given it some thought. I don't really have like a specific, I wish I did. I don't really have like a specific answer for you. In the last couple years, I've definitely tried to dabble in some different things outside of basketball, see what I like, see what I don't like. There are some things on the horizon that I can look forward to, whether you're talking about, Peyton's Places being a part of that franchise. Maybe the BTS show becomes a thing. We'll see. You never know. And that's really the beauty of it. And, one quote I always come back to, and I've said this before, is when Derek Jeter retired, he said he was looking forward to being like a young person again. So I realize 41 is actually young. Currently, I don't feel that way in my line of work. So it's really exciting just to know that what's ahead of me, I can be young again. I can kind of try new things and see what's out there.
So I guess it's an obvious question when someone retires, especially after the field of field, but between the longevity that you've had and just the high achievement, what do you hope people take away from your career, particularly as years go by and people start to move on and discover? What do you hope people take away from the past?
Oof. I don't know. I guess there's a couple ways I could answer. I do think longevity is a big part of my career. I mean, I could argue that some of my best days were in my last, I don't know, like what year is this? In my last like 4 or 5 years. Probably since 2016. I mean, if memory serves, I was like WNBA first team when I was 35, right? So won 2 championships at age 37 and 39. So I think that is a big part of it. And what I'm proud about in terms of that is I hope other players can see a career like this one, see the length of it, see the success of it, and know that they can do it too. Because not that it's easy, but it's doable, right? There's ways in which you can play a very long time. And hopefully I'm one of the athletes that helps start that narrative in women's basketball. So that's something I'm definitely proud of. I think as it pertains to like me as a player and how I played the game, I think a lot of times naturally, I mean, I'm the same way when I watch basketball. It's exciting to watch people who score. It's exciting to watch people who can do like amazing or make amazing plays on the floor. But it's also really valuable to have a player who, I guess, puts the team first, who thinks of the game in that way, who always enjoyed being the one out there, like the glue. And you can have success in that way too. And at times I think that does get lost, and it's not the most glamorous. It does get overlooked at times, but you can still be an amazing player by doing those things. So that's kind of the two ways that I would look at it.
So you mentioned, being 41.
Mhm.
You mentioned you know what you know. Did that know manifest itself mentally or physically? Because at least on the floor,
Mhm.
you haven't shown me false.
Right. A little bit of both. I appreciate, it's funny, like, sometimes someone will be like, oh man, I can't even tell you're 41. And I'm like, what? Did you watch me play when I was 31? Like, so I can tell the difference, right? And I think that's really the big important key here. I was actually on JJ Pod. I don't want to make it too much about this, but I was on JJ Redick's podcast recently, and he actually mentioned something about when you get older, it's like for pretty much your entire career, you get to play the game, right? You're playing it, you're out there, and you're able to use your strengths and try to hide your weaknesses, and you're playing. And because of natural aging, you lose some stuff over time. You're not as quick, you're not as fast. There's different things you lose. And so at times out there, like it is a compliment to think that when I'm out there, I'm still able to help my team. I'm still able to perform, but I don't feel like I'm like fully myself anymore. And so there's parts of that where it's sad to let that go, or sad to know that that's gone. But there's also a realization like I'm 41. Like that's okay too.
And the fellow's not seeing you like later up in the
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't want to be limping around, and that would be bad. Yeah. So knock on wood on that one. So yeah, so it's this has been all a part of my thought process in terms of retiring. I feel like I've played as long as I can at a very high level. Excuse me. And is this stop crying? um, so yeah, so I feel like I've played as long as I can at a really high level, both physically and mentally, and it's just gotten harder. So, you know when to say when, you know.
Take two more and then
Right. You're gonna get a huge crowd tomorrow night. You always do in Connecticut. Can you just talk about the Connecticut fans and this being your home away from home and how much they've meant to you over the years?
Yeah. No, it actually, the way it turned out or worked out that I got to announce it before this game, it wasn't necessarily planned, but at the same time, it's special that it happened this way. I'm thankful that it happened this way. I also know I do return to Connecticut, so no one take offense that this was about the New York game just yet. But yeah, I'm always excited. I mean, listen, when the schedule comes out, there's two games that I circle, right, mentally. The New York game and the Connecticut game. And that's because they feel like homecomings. I know that I'm going to get the support. I know that I'm going to be able to play in front of people that, oh, tissues? I'm going to be able to play. I'm not putting them on the table. I'm going to be able to play in front of people that really watched me grow up, right? And that's really special to me. I've talked about my growing up in different ways through the years, whether it's growing up in my hometown, growing up in college, you know, becoming an adult in Seattle, growing up in front of those fans, and that's always something I really cherish. So it's of course very special that I'll get to play here tomorrow.
I'm curious about the
Mm,
at
yeah.
this point, but are there any that stand out to you over since you that have not, and specifically not just
Yeah. So, like I said, there was definitely a group of people that I wanted to tell beforehand. So, and I actually haven't been back on social media much since I've like checked a little bit, but I'm like, it's too much. So actually haven't seen a lot of the messages on social media. But the ones on my phone, of course, they're from friends, they're from family. Everybody's super supportive. Diana Taurasi's sister was like, no, I wanted to go to Paris. So there was that. But yeah, overwhelming support, which has been so great. A lot of people sharing different memories, right? Marcy Zell, who I played with at Connecticut, was like, oh my God, I remember your draft dinner, being there for your draft dinner, you know, different moments like that. So it's been really cool to have people share their stories with me that they remember. As far as Coach Auriemma, I'll actually see him. So I'm sure he texted, so did CD, Jamel, Tanya, I'll see on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, he's already kind of shared his thoughts and feelings around this. So this one particular, and I had told him ahead of time, obviously. So this one particular moment, yeah, he was just like, "Oh, I guess it's a pretty big deal, huh?" It's basically what he said. Classic. Yeah, but I think she wants us to be in the Olympics.
kind of just, think about, within the, day to day of being a, professional athlete and all about what aspects of that you're
Probably the schedule of it all and like the purpose of it all. You know, even though off seasons when you don't go overseas are really long, right? In reality, I haven't gone overseas in, gosh, like 8 years. Is that right? Yeah, like 8 years. So in reality, I haven't played that much basketball in the last 8 years because the WNBA season's so short. So those off seasons are long, but I always had purpose. When I woke up in the morning, I always knew I had to get my workout in because I was getting ready for a season. And I think even though believe me, there's tons of wonderful things to look forward to, like not setting alarms and going on vacations, all the things that a basketball schedule keeps you from, and I'm looking forward to those. I think I will miss a little bit of that purpose and a little bit of that grind, right? The grind and the hard parts, that's the good stuff. That's what makes you a professional athlete. So I think I'll miss a little bit of that. And then the other part, actually, we went to like a little bit of a team dinner yesterday. And I think the other part, I was actually sitting there thinking this, like, oh, I'll miss these team dinners, these moments on the bus, on the plane. Even though traveling's a grind, I'm telling you, all the grind moments, you're still doing it with a team. And I hope to find something in life that fulfills me in that way, but I know it's going to be really hard to replace those things.
let's go back to the Zoom real quick and get a couple more in from Zoom. Larry Stone, go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, hi, Sue. You were obviously hit with some strong emotions there a couple of minutes ago. Are you looking at this as a sad day or a happy day for you, or is it kind of a weird combination?
Yeah, it's probably a combination. The sadness, I think, is just how do you not get sad? I mean, this is a like a major life decision. So, um, way to go, Larry. Um, it's something not a lot of people do something for their entire lives the way that athletes do. Um, and and I know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know people are fulfilled in other ways. It's not about a comparison. It's just sports is different, I think. And, I've been doing this since I was 5 or 6 years old. It's really all I know. So of course I'm sad. It's a little bit of like a mourning, knowing I'm gonna miss it. But I mean, I have no regrets. I feel wonderful about my career, the people I've met, the things we've all accomplished. So that's kind of like the sum up of that. And I am excited for the next chapter. Like I said, I get to start this new life. But yeah, I know my personality. This is probably why for like a lot of years I've been saying I'm not gonna announce my retirement while I play, because I know I would get like this. I'm sentimental. I don't like change. So here we are.
Thank you.
No problem.
Let's go to Tim Booth. Tim, go ahead.
Hey, Sue, congratulations. You'd kind of said, I think hinted back in February that you weren't a big fan of farewell tours and everything that went into that. Are you kind of prepared for that now, knowing that pretty much every city you're going to go into, there's going to be some sort of recognition of your career? And do you have any requests for farewell gifts from any of the teams?
I am not prepared for it. In some ways, I feel like this just happened the way it happened. I didn't necessarily choose it, and that's not a bad thing. But obviously, from the moment the fans cheered and chanted for one more year to now, it just kind of happened the way it happened. So no, I don't think I'm actually prepared for it, but I'll just take it as it comes. I know it'll be interesting going from market to market. I'd like to actually give a quick shout to Dallas. We just played there for the last time, or I should say for my last time. And prior to that game, they had actually asked if they could acknowledge me. And I was like, no, it's okay. I don't need that. So I don't want them to think that there's anything personal there. So thank you to Greg Bibb for trying to do that. I just wasn't there yet. And I actually, to be honest, I'm even toying with the idea of, do I let teams do that? Do I need that? I don't know. I feel like I don't personally need that, but I also understand that there are fan bases that might want to, take that moment. Even in Dallas, I came out after the game to sign some autographs, and they tried the one more year chant. I was like, not this time. It's not going to work this time. But yeah, I'm not prepared for it. So we're all going to just have to experience this out as it goes.
All right, thanks, Tim. A couple more Zoom, and then we'll come back to the room. Kevin Pelton, go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, Sue, this might overlap a little with the earlier question, but as you went through that list of people who have been influential in your career, did any of those conversations stand out? And did anyone try to talk you out of it?
No one really tried to talk me out of it. There's definitely a few that stand out. I like, I would kind of start by being like, hey, I have something I want to tell you, want to tell you before it hits the news. And then I would always be like, we can save the mushy stuff for another time. Like, that's not what this is. But a couple of people didn't listen to me. One that stands out is, and it's like, I'm probably not going to get through this without crying. So we're just going to have to deal with that. Jeez, this is so stupid. Oh, okay. Is Karen Bryant. Obviously, KB drafted me, brought me to the Storm, was there for my first, a long time. She was there for, 10 plus years. And just some of the words she shared were just really touching. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks.
Were you calling on me?
Yes, Alex, go ahead.
Sorry, it's hard to hear you. Hi, Sue. Thanks so much for taking the time. We're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Title IX next week. You to me kind of represent that next generation of Title IX people having kind of entered college right after the 25th anniversary. So curious, like a big kind of reflection question of just how you feel like where we are in women's sports compared to where we were when you entered the league 21 years ago.
Yeah, I think women's basketball is in a great place. I think women's sports is in a great place. So many differences in a good way from when I first entered the league. And obviously, I think we can all feel that momentum building. And, I couldn't be more proud of the younger generation right now because they're the ones that are now entering this league and really pushing the envelope. In a lot of ways, my generation, we got to have the opportunity off the backs of those that started the league, which was documented recently in the 30 for 30. And so we didn't really know what to do with it. And I think as time went, the WNBA was always around, but I think we can all agree it at some point had plateaued a little bit. So to now see this younger generation kind of come into the league and want more and demand more, I think is a real testament to Title IX. Because this is the generation that, I feel like I was a generation that never really knew Title IX because I always had opportunity, but this generation is even more of that. So to touch on Title IX specifically, I'd love to be honest, to not even have to talk about it. It's sad we have to talk about it. It's sad that even to this day, there are schools that don't follow the rules and have to be sued. I just saw a story the other day about that. I think it was San Diego State. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was San Diego State. So I would love for there to be a day where we of course celebrate it as part of our history, but we don't have to talk about it in a way where we're talking about schools getting sued because they're not giving women opportunity.
Back to the room real quick.
I have a question for the next, going off of that serious one I thought Dream On last night, and then just like thinking back to when you were a kid playing basketball, like what was it like before that 9/16 and what was it like for you after that?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we had a little bit of a team dinner because there was a birthday on our team. So I actually haven't seen it yet, but I lived it, right? Not the behind the scenes moments, which I'm very excited to see. But I remember that team very well. I actually, when they were in Vegas, where they did a lot of those interviews, I could tell from some of the backdrops in the previews. I actually got to finally tell Jen Azey that she was my see it be it moment, because my AAU coach took myself, a couple other AAU teammates, drove us down to Philadelphia to the Palestra, where the national team was playing against China in like one of their, many exhibition games as they led up to that Olympics. And that was the first time I saw Jen Azey play. And I was like, oh, we kind of look alike. Like this could be a thing, like that could be me one day. And that's really where, because there was no WNBA, that's really where my dream of like achieving something like, I don't know, unattainable started, being on the Olympic team. And I thanked her for that. And I was really glad that I got to have that moment with her. And then, sorry, what was the question though? I just went off on my own little tangent. Right. Right. So I actually luckily, I actually kind of answered that. I think before, or even in that moment of going to watch them play, because there was no WNBA, that was, let's see if it was that was like a 13, 14-year-old little me, right? Thinking that the big goal was the Olympic team because there was no WNBA. There was no professional basketball. Like I'd kind of seen some, college games on TV. Shout out Jen, 95 team. So I'd kind of seen but that was like what? They showed the Final Four. And it was only my dad was like, hey, the Final Four's on, that I would happen to catch it. And obviously a 13-year-old is not thinking about playing in Europe. That's like nobody at 13 is thinking that. So it was the Olympics because there was no professional league. So then you fast forward just 2 years, and I'm probably, my generation of player, my class specifically, is one of the first where we chose our college knowing that it was the stepping stone for the WNBA. So we were looking at schools thinking like, oh, like what can help me get to that next level? So that's kind of my experience in it.
step kind of in the same kind of she's not able to play right now. But have you also thought about it just being this kind of momentum year with all kinds of assist leader and rebounding leader stepping at the same time, what that means for attacking?
Yeah, we text every now and then, mostly, you know, when Syl announced that it was going to be her last year. You know, I obviously reached out. After the Olympics is when was that after the Olympics? Actually, never mind. When she announced her retirement is when I reached out, and then most recently we were texting again when she got hurt, because that's obviously got to be really difficult for her to have had that happen in what is her final year. But the way I feel about like my career right now and this season, I hope she feels the same way, which is, yes, this is the last season. And I think, you know, anybody would want it to be this fairy tale of a last season, win the championship, do the amazing things, go out on this huge high. But the reality is, one season, one game, one moment, it doesn't change a career. And so just because, you know, sadly Syl can't play in hopefully the short term, that shouldn't leave a bad taste in her mouth on her career. She's had an amazing career, like you mentioned, leading rebounder, all-time leading rebounder. I've had the pleasure of playing with her with USA Basketball, playing with her overseas. And she's just, I mean, everything you read about her is true, right? The mama still, the taking care of people, making sure everyone's okay. Obviously, she's fierce on the court, but she's amazing off the court and just how she cares for her teammates. And hopefully, like I said, she feels that way, even though she's dealing with a little bit of adversity right now. Yeah, I guess a little bit. No, I think that's just like part of the responsibility. I think when you play as long as we have, it just naturally happens. And I think what's unique about both me and Syl is that I think we take joy in that. We find joy in that, in making sure the younger generation is set up for success. For her, I mean, you can just see it, even in like a social media post. Excuse me. You can just see how her teammates interact with her and how they respond to her. You can see it. You know, they're really playing for her in a lot of ways. And I know for me here in Seattle, especially when we drafted Jewel and Stewie, it was like, okay, these are the two. They're definitely the ones that are going to be taken over when I'm done. So I wanted to make sure they were prepared and set up for success in all the ways that I knew. I would just wanted to like pass on that knowledge.
A few more on the Zoom before we wrap up. There's time for a couple more questions. So we'll start with Jeff Brown. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, so dating back to when Lauren Jackson had her retirement ceremony in Seattle, you got on the mic and you said you kind of felt like this was also your retirement way back then. Wondering, kind of, have you spoken with Lauren?
I know, now she's unretiring. This is like, what's going on?
You're yeah. Had you spoken with her? Your fondest memories with Lauren, and do you expect her at your retirement ceremony?
Yes, Lauren made the cut on the list, so I gave her the heads up. No, I mean, the good thing about me and Lauren is I think we've always been really upfront and honest about what we have meant to each other in our careers. And that happened, of course, when she retired. I was able to share my thoughts and feelings around that at her ceremony. So yeah, so when I told her this, she was wonderful. Nothing but, you know, kind things to say, and shared some stories and kept it brief, but also, you know, what she said was really special. It's something I'll get to take with me forever. And I mean, I really hope she gets to come out. I don't know when that retirement ceremony is not going to be. I think that'll be like next year. I don't plan on doing, Jeff, I don't plan on doing a retirement ceremony, just FYI. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to do that like on my last game or anything like that. I just want it to be like a party of some sort. That would suit me just fine. So I hope she can make the party.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have time for one last one. Let's go to Masvita and then we'll wrap up.
Yep. Hey, Sue, what was the reaction, without going into too much, what was the reaction when you told your teammates? Was any aha moments or anything funny that came out of that? Or
yeah, I like literally steamrolled through the whole thing. I was like, hey guys, got something to tell you. So this is happening. I'm going to announce my retirement. Okay, can we just eat? like I just rambled through the whole thing because I didn't want to make it a big deal. I feel like when you tell people these things naturally, they want to respond and give you a hug. And we were at dinner, we're trying to have fun and just enjoy. So basically, I was just like, hey, I just wanted to tell you guys, like tomorrow, I plan on announcing my retirement. We also have another player beyond January who's retiring. So I was like, sorry, you now have two people you're gonna have to deal with answering questions about. And very quickly they could see that I just wanted to move on. And I think somebody was like, all right, cheers. And we just did one cheers and we moved on.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for coming.